Welcome to the Business of You podcast, the show dedicated to helping service entrepreneurs build a better brand to grow a bigger business. I'm your host, Michelle Griffin, and I'm here each week empowering you to put yourself out there, sharing actionable tips and inspiring stories so you can create your personal brand, grow your dream business, and build your future, all while making more income and more impact doing exactly what you love. I'm super excited you're here. Now let's get going with today's show. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Michelle Griffin. Today, I'm so excited to invite my friend all the way from Sydney, Australia, Michelle Raymond. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Hello, it's the power of the Michelles. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, Michelle squared. So yeah, Michelle with double L's, always even more powerful. Well, today I want to give us a shout out. We're going to have you introduced in the show notes, but just in a nutshell, for those who aren't familiar with you yet, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, for those of you who haven't come across me yet, I'm most likely known for the fact that I love company pages. LinkedIn company pages are my specialty. It's something that I have been working on over the last 12 months, and I really think they're an amazing tool for businesses to grow their reputations and their revenue. I want people to make money, right? So I come from a sales background. LinkedIn really is a playground for me, and company pages is, one of my favorites.
If someone has like a personal brand, because that's our audience here, if they have a personal brand and they have a profile page, which I'm sure they're doing all the content, why should a personal brand business also have a company page? How does that make sense?
Look, the funny thing is everyone thinks, it makes the assumption that because I love company pages, I'm not into personal branding. And it just couldn't be more from, further from the facts. And the reason is if you do an amazing amount of work on your personal brand, which I'm a huge advocate for, then someone goes to go, I want to make a purchase from the company you work for, and they go looking and the company brand isn't as strong or aligned with your personal brand, I think it's an obstacle for when they want to actually make the purchase. And so I think you should actually have both. Have your cake and eat it too. It's not a one or the other scenario. So pages for me, just as important to build your brand as what your personal brand is. Otherwise there's a disconnect, right?
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I think I've heard you in other podcasts say you get double your opportunity with a personal brand and a company brand page on LinkedIn, right? So why not? Okay, but the problem is you're doing all this content, you're trying to post daily or very frequently on LinkedIn. What are your recommendations to start that company page, right? Where do we get started? They want you to do posts and all the good stuff. What should someone like a personal brand business do and put on their company page?
Look, the first thing that I would say is actually just get one. Create it for your personal brand because it will actually show up on your industry experience on your personal profile. Instead of having a random logo, you can actually have your company entire. So it does actually help build your personal brand by having a company page, which is, often overlooked. So the second thing that I would say to people is let's set some real expectations. The chances are, depending on the size of your business, you don't have the luxury of having a marketing team or, you wear 50 different hats. You're the accountant, you're the production manager, you're the warehouse overseer, you have to do admin, accounting, and then there's this LinkedIn, and so by setting some realistic targets for the content that you're creating, I say dial it back to one or two times a week just to begin with, and the consistency will pay off far more than trying to do 5 this week, 0 next week, maybe 1 the week after, and it's just all over the place. So consistency, just like with personal branding, is the answer on company pages. So don't try and make it a whole other job in itself, because then it'll fall over, and that's the last thing that we want.
No, I agree. That's easy. That's doable. I'm all about starting. So consistency is going to be a lot more manageable with 1 post a week. Now, the thing about it is, so should someone just take stuff from their profile page and put it on their company page? How should the content be different?
Look, the fact is, you as a person versus you as your company are different. And this applies even if you're a solopreneur. If I look at my own company, Good Trading has a different personality, values, and set of actions that it takes that are different to my personal brand. And of course, there's a huge crossover. It's not completely in conflict with each other, but at the end of the day, I'm different to my company. And so it's really important for people. What I would say is when you're setting up your company page, making sure that you have some of the keywords around your industry in the about section is probably one of the things you should spend some time and really make sure that you get those right. So using a keyword research tool, just so that it's easier for people to find you, is something that I would definitely encourage people to put some effort into.
Yeah, I see a lot of company pages where they have so much opportunity to fill out that about section. It's like several thousand characters, right? So when in luck, or when you really don't have time, you could just take your about page section from your website maybe and put it there. But would you suggest you highlight some of your services and offerings there? What are some strategies for that larger about section?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan, especially with company pages, to repurpose as much as what you can from your website. But often I find that websites set and forget. Someone got a website about 5 to 10 years ago, done, never to be seen again. They did a few blog articles and left it alone. So I often find a company page becomes a mini company website because it's always updated regularly with what's going on in your business. So yeah, definitely pull across what you can, make it simple on yourself. I'm all about just trying to keep life simple for business owners. There's no point in making this hard and cumbersome. So make it clear who you help, how you do it, and how they can reach you. Often on the company page, it's a limitation of LinkedIn. They don't make it easy for people to find you. So make it clear and concise, whether it's in your banner, the about section, or both. Make sure that your contact details are updated in there so that people can find you, because there's nothing worse. It's like the empty shopping cart at the end of, e-commerce purchase. It's the equivalent. So we want to buy, we got that close, and then we couldn't work out how to contact anyone, so we abandoned the cart. So just make it easy for people.
No, I agree. You're right. You can put all your services or great keywords. Now, for me, my personal brand company page is the same, very much similar to the same banner as mine. And maybe I'm doing this wrong. You can be honest. So here's the thing. I love to make everyone else visible and put everyone else in the spotlight, but I'm more of a private person. And now I'm working on it better. But I don't like to promote my podcast episodes as much on my profile page. So I'll put them on my company page and have a teaching lesson around it. I do that just to keep myself visible, because our audience here, we're all, trying to get more visible and credible. So is that a good philosophy? Is that a good strategy that I'm doing, or am I doing it wrong?
Look, there's so much talk on LinkedIn around employee advocacy. Get your employees to share your content on your company page. They're more likely to do it. There's stats flying around all over the place. Now, what you've highlighted is something that I actually go the reverse. It's the job of the company page to build up the employee's brand just as much, if not more, as the other way around. There's this unwritten expectation that it's always the employees that need to build the company. And I'm shouting out there, especially to CEOs, because it starts at the top and works its way down. Use your company page to build up the personal brand of your employees. Because again, one reflects on the other. If you put all your time into a company page and you build that up so it's amazing, you create amazing content, and then all of your employees, hard to find, half-written profiles, never release content, never acknowledge, it doesn't work that way as well. So this is where I always come up, it's the dual strategy so that you can have the best of both worlds.
No, I like that. Okay. Well, that's great. So you've told us some really interesting things about company pages. Before I get into the common mistakes you see people making, because I know you help a lot of different businesses, and our audience and listeners here are mostly personal brands. When a company reaches out to you, or say you have your company page and someone comes to you on that page, what's the next step that you think they should take? What did you suggest? Something like, book a call if you're consultant more, or get on the email? What are some of the strategies to get off platform from the company page?
Look, the strategies are very similar to what you do on your personal profile. So the same rules apply. So one of the things that I want to highlight to people is when you start treating a company page different to the rules of an etiquette of what you would use on your personal page, it falls over. It's not there as your free advert so you can get out to get someone. I'm going to get new clients. It's not a hunting and gathering space. It's where you're adding value. It's where you're being human, the same as on your personal brand. It's important to make sure that you've got your sales team, or whoever's in charge of the business development in your company. It could be you as the CEO or founder, that's fine as well. But it's important to always, just the same on your personal page, include the comments. Really build a community or a tribe or any of those other cool words that you hear around the place. Really just make sure that you reach out and comment quickly and drive those conversations. With the company page, you're looking at a typical 500 followers is a pretty good number to have. So we're not chasing 10,000 followers. We want 500 that are really, really interested in what you do. And it does take an interest to follow a company page. They don't do it because they like you. They do it because your products and services are attractive to them in some way. So take advantage of that.
That is great. So maybe your company page is more top facing on the problem you solve more as an industry standard or something like that. I like that philosophy. And you hit on another question I was going to ask. So many company pages just kind of idle there with so few followers, and you have to be really active to grow that. Can you give us some good strategies? And what's the current invitation limit? I know LinkedIn's always changing how many people you can invite. Tell us some of your best strategies to get that page bumped up.
Look, the invite credit limit at the moment is sitting at 100. So LinkedIn has changed that around and done some trials over the last few months where that number was as high as 50 or 50 even. And you know what that actually came back to? The power and the quality of the super admin person allocated to that company page, how well they manage their followers, their connections. That comes back to personal brands. So a super admin is the person that's responsible and created the company page. And you can have multiple admins, but it actually was a reflection back on the quality of the person that was running the page. So you can't say that one doesn't, really impact the other, which is really interesting. You get 100 credits. My advice, I just want to reach out and let people know that right now, if it's at the beginning of the month, use your credits as fast as possible. For every person that accepts, you actually get another credit back again. The more people that are at your page early, the more chance that you've got them engaging with your content throughout the month.
No, that's really good because I don't know anyone, maybe people are really active. I know that's something I need to work on, right? I'm so focused on growing my content, my profile, and I need to devote more time for that company page because I just think it helps you. And one thing I do, this is for me as a personal brand, instead of my logo, I learned this from a top LinkedIn person. I'm not going to mention her name on Clubhouse early in the year. She puts her picture as her logo. Now, I know that might be against you because I got to think of it in the context of a personal brand. How does that sit with you? I'm curious to know as a page specialist.
Actually, I really like that. And I've done that for certain periods as I'm always experimenting, right? I really like to know what works best. And it really does if you actually have your face there so that people can relate. And I think it's important to have it in banners, especially if you're a solopreneur, to make sure that your face is linked to your company name and vice versa on your personal profile. Kind of tie it back to your company as well, because you kind of exist in parallel with each other, but it's important, as I said before, that it's balanced. Now, I say it's a good idea. I say also, listen to what I'm telling you, try it for yourself and your followers. If you have a really strong company branding, maybe it's not good that you move off into personal when you're just building that. So with any advice that I offer here today, I always say, take a look at what's going on with you, who's following, who's in your company, and choose what is it that's actually going to work best for you. But be open-minded that there could be other ways that you could go around things.
That's great. So we covered a lot of the pros and the cons or the mistakes people make. And real quickly, tell me what you think are the top mistakes people make. I mean, we touched on them here, but is there anything else we didn't add?
There's a couple of things. Number one, it's not your free advertising space. Stop making it all about your company goods and services. The number one problem that I find is the content people create is all about the company. It's time. And there's actually a really cool strategy that I can't take the credit for. It comes from LinkedIn. It's called the 3-2-1 strategy for LinkedIn company pages. And LinkedIn recommends that you do 3 posts that are around your knowledge of the industry. What's going on in your industry, whether it's trends, whether it's events, whether it's regulation changes, share your knowledge on the industry. Then we move into 2, and that's 2 times you should actually post feel good content. And that's what's going on with your staff, what's going on, the nice things. Maybe you support a charity, you're a purpose-driven brand. And then number 1, you get to talk about yourself. And so that's the golden ratio. So 3 times about the industry, 2 times about the feel good stuff within your business, and 1 time your goods and services, you get to promote yourself. And I think if you stick within that, that's, definitely in line with what I would recommend to my clients.
That's actually a really good strategy you could use on your personal page as well. I like that. So keep yourself to the minimum. And so obviously I need to do that. Michelle, I'm doing my company page all wrong. I'm doing it all wrong. I'm getting schooled here.
The thing that I would say to people, and we just highlighted it there, is even though the ratio is 3-2-1, 1 time you talk about yourself, far too often, and I'm guilty of it myself, and I have to keep picking myself up on it, is that you forget to tell people what your company actually does and the services that they offer in very blatant black and white, between the eyes. Here's what we do and who we help. And quite often I find is people, and it happens on personal branding if you're just running it through your page, we talk about all the value, all the things that we know, we help. And often a comment I would get when I went to events was, Michelle, we see you on LinkedIn all the time. You're really amazing. But what do you do? You've ever had that before?
Yeah. And you personally have told me this before. I'm a little bit bad about that. So reminder everyone, that's what I think I did a post on recently, or maybe a couple of months ago. And I learned from Clubhouse, it's like, have that professional theme. And I think that's like 60%. Personal might be like 30, and I think promotional was 20. So break up your ratio, but obviously more professional, less personal, and then the promotion. You got to make the ask. And you can do it in a very non-salesy way, right? Doing it with stories or twisting it around just to make it, less promotional is definitely ideal. So good point. I am learning so much today because I'm learning that I need so much help in my company page. This is great. Okay.
At least you have one.
Yeah, at least I have one. What's the thing? Okay, so I tell my clients, you've got to at least have one, because if not, you'll be that boring gray box, right? No one wants to see the boring gray box. And it really takes a minute to set up the most basic company page, right? And you want to grab that URL too, right?
You are literally talking, from start to finish to set up a company page, maximum 15 minutes. If you grab your about section off your website and put it on there, or even if you just do something quickly, the whole process is 15 minutes. There really isn't an excuse. This isn't a big job. This is something you can do by yourself. And it's just selecting from drop-down boxes, basically. So yeah, no real excuse to be having the boring gray box.
Yeah. And LinkedIn, you can have more than one company page, and be careful if you delete one, because you can't get it back. You have to go straight to LinkedIn. I've done that before too. So little tips of the trade, and make sure you're in the right industry, right? Because you could easily be in the wrong industry. Sometimes there's overlap between others. So are there any behind the scenes you would suggest on the setup phase? Any other tips?
No, I think the banner is really important. As I said, make it bright, make it stand out, make it obvious what you do and the ideal client that you're looking for in some way, and obviously how they can contact you. So including, website or an email address. Again, we just want to make it simple for people to do their research, because, when was the last time that you went on a holiday without jumping onto like TripAdvisor or some other hotel? We don't make purchases without finding social, and that social proof is not just on people that I like and that I've built that relationship with. It's the companies we're going to purchase for. So if you don't think that everybody's stalking your company as much as they're stalking you, we know that they're doing 70% of the buying research before they even reach out. So make sure that your company page is up to scratch and a really good reflection of who you are and what you're up to in the world.
That's perfect. It's almost like saying in today's age, if you don't have a LinkedIn company page to go with your profile, it's like not having a website on the internet. It's almost like you don't exist. And shockingly, there are people who don't have company pages. So if today's one thing we learned, if you do not have a company page, go set one up. 15 minutes or less. You can go to canva.com, get that LinkedIn graphic, and just put something up and be official. So those are wonderful tidbits. And I know I'm going to go work on my content. I think I've got my other stuff, but we all need help with content. But the 3-2-1 was wonderful tips. Do you have any more 3 top tips that you want to leave with us? As you know, all about the Business of You podcast. It's 3 actionable, achievable things that we can take away from your subject matter expertise on LinkedIn company pages.
Well, the number one thing would be what kind of content works best. So if you've got limited time and you want to know what works best, it's behind the scenes photos. So show your employees, it could be the birthday cake in the kitchen, it could be someone out in the warehouse on their forklift, it could be you're out at an event, somewhere like that. People respond really well when they can see, oh, is that the person who I always get an email from in accounts? Oh, is that what they look like? Let people in behind the scenes. Number one tip, performs the best out of everything. Number two tip is just get started, because you can sit here and argue with, am I the right expert that says they're amazing? There's plenty that go against what I say. But if I'm right, and these are the way of the future, which the business-to-business marketplace that LinkedIn's working on, that's a whole other topic that we'll save for another day, but you will need a company page to do that. So, start building now for what is going to evolve on LinkedIn for the next 2 years. The other thing is just make sure that you have someone that's monitoring and responding to community comments and any engagement that are on the post. You can't just post and ignore it. It works exactly the same as your personal page. So make sure that you're giving it the attention that it deserves.
Those are awesome. Well, those will all be in the show notes, so you don't have to take notes because we'll have it all there that you can have these actionable and achievable takeaways. Thank you, Michelle. Before we let you go today, I want to ask you, one of the things I absolutely love and learn from are sharing and finding out people's inner mantra and missions. They tell they tell themselves to maybe, change your mindset, do something like Nike's just do it. Probably one of the most brilliant ones. Do you have a personal mantra or mission that you'd like to share with us today?
Look, my personal one actually comes from my mom, and it's a piece of advice she gave me, which I wish I listened to when I was a teenager, but I think it applies brilliantly to LinkedIn. And that is, Michelle, if you hang out with garbage, you'll smell like it. So choose your networks and your relationships on LinkedIn wisely.
Oh, that's perfect for LinkedIn, not just company pages, but especially on the profile. So good point, right? We're the 5 people we hang out with, something like that. So very good.
The power of LinkedIn is your network. So choose it wisely, because it can have the equal opposite effect if you don't.
Oh, totally. It's our community, so we need to make the most of it. Well, Michelle, before we end today, tell us where we can find you. I know LinkedIn, of course, but where else can we find you? Tell us your URL and anywhere else, and what else you're working on right now.
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me obviously at Michelle J. Raymond, because there's lots of Michelles on LinkedIn we've established. Then we've also got my company page is Good Trading Co. So please come over there for lots of free tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your company page. Also, Good Trading Co's on YouTube, and you can catch me doing a live event every Friday at 1 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. And if you missed that on LinkedIn, you can catch up on the recording later. So thank you for the opportunity to have a chat with you today about how I believe company pages and personal branding really work well together.
Michelle, thank you so much. All your expertise. I learned something every time I talk to you. So if you haven't got a chance to check Michelle out LinkedIn Live with our mutual friend, you have got to, because I do believe you do put it on your YouTube channel as well, because I know sometimes getting LinkedIn Lives to find later on can be a challenge. Look for them. They're always dueling. They're always a fun team. Michelle, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. We definitely need more impactful entrepreneurs like you out there. So if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you build your personal brand to grow your business, please check out yourbrandyourbusiness.com. And until next time, you have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. Now go put yourself out there and watch the business of you grow.